Welcome to Full Speed Racing, where today we're at Snetterton for the final rounds of the MSV's F3 Cup.
Yeah, 25.5 points in front already, so I can wrap it up in the first race. So that's got to be the aim, I think. I've had a good qualifying, so it's all on plan at the moment.
And talk to us about your qualifying. You qualified second for the race tomorrow. How did it go for you? Was the track conditions difficult?
Oh, they were awful. The first lap out there, actually spun on my out lap, which never helps. But got my head back down, obviously red flags, went back out again. But just concentrate and get one lap in, because I knew it was going to be difficult to keep going around. So got the lap in. Car felt absolutely awesome. Even in difficult conditions, managed to qualify, second overall. So it was really good.
And there are a couple of drivers out there today who are guest drivers that have raced in GP3 and also in sort of junior Formula 1. Were they proving to be a problem today?
No, they weren't in a way. I think in the race, I think at least one of them is going to be gone, so shouldn't have much of an issue at all. But yeah, the stuff they've done, they should be right up there. So fingers crossed, they'll stay out the way.
And what's the strategy for tomorrow?
I think just get a good start, keep pushing hard, and just keep everyone else behind. I think there's no point backing off too early. The car feels good, so just fingers crossed we can come in with a win.
I came here with the quote that I was coming with maximum attack, but I did the opposite in qualifying. It was really wet and everyone was going off everywhere, so I took a conservative approach, thinking I'll let the conditions come to me and then pull it out as the qualifying session went on. But suddenly it was red flagged and I was just caught out.
And what do you think you'll do tomorrow in terms of strategy to try and make up those places?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of places to make up. So depending on the weather conditions, strategy will unfold as the race goes on. Because if you're in the middle of the pack like we are, the rain, the spray is going to be horrendous. So it's going to be an interesting race. But one thing's for sure, we're going to try our hardest.
The conditions were pretty horrendous out there. There's water, standing water everywhere. So you were almost hanging on for dear life. But it gradually got better. We've been in the pits a couple of times with red flags, and the track was getting quicker and quicker and drier. But I got stuck behind my teammate for the one quick lap before the red flag. So where I should have probably been giving Chris and Gino a run for their money, I ended up not really giving Chris a run for his money. So we've got it all to do for in the first race.
Absolutely. And what's your strategy then for tomorrow? What's the plan?
Well, it depends what the weather's like. I think that's going to be the major factor. If it's like this, it's just going to try and keep out of trouble for the first 3 or 4 corners, because where I am on the grid, we won't be able to see anything. There's going to be so much spray. So, but if it's dry, then I think it's maximum attack. And the ball is really in Chris's court this weekend in terms of the championship, but you've just got to try as hard as you can and hope that perhaps it goes wrong for him.
Antonio, guest driving here for the F3 Cup. Tell us a little bit more. Why?
Well, first of all, because we got a really good proposal and way to race in the Macau Grand Prix, which is for me the best race in the world with the Formula 3 car. And so yeah, I couldn't say no to that. And obviously to go to Macau you need to be eligible for that, and the way to do it is you need to have a race in F3 before Macau. And this was the only one that I could do, I was available for, so why not, Carling put a good car up for me, and it's a great team, and we decided to come. So it's obviously, I'm amazed with the spirit around here in the paddock, and everything is so friendly, it's different from what I used to, and I'm really happy to be here.
It's race 1 of the F3 Cup. We've got guest driver Antonio Felix da Costa up on pole position, but hot contender for the championship, Chris Dittman, is second on the grid. Hopefully the weather will hold out. This is bound to be a very exciting race. Ben, over to you.
Certainly should be exciting. It's almost 2 races in one, isn't it? Because the smart money would have Antonio Felix da Costa running off into the distance. It really will come down to what can Chris Dittman and Tristan Cliff do. So we get a green flag waved at the rear of the field, getting ready for the red lights which come on now. The revs rise. Who's going to get jumps? Lights flash out and da Costa flies away, but Dittman's almost stationary and Chris Dittman's had a wretched start. Will they all miss him? He gets everybody surging past him as he eventually finds a gear. And it's Project Shah who moves ahead of him as working through the first turn. It's da Costa who leads it from Kevin Korjus, then Louis Hamilton-Smith, who loses it around, goes Hamilton-Smith. Now will he keep it out to the Armco barrier? Onto the grass he goes, and no, he clatters in to the barriers. So the two invitation drivers, Felix, Costa and Kevin Korjus, disappear. Then we have got next up James Abbott, who's doing very well in third position. Fourth is Chris Needham. And what about fifth? It's Tristan Cliff, who is looking around the outside of Stuart Wiltshire. He's going to go through there and take fifth position as we ride in car with Chris Dittman, who has now got an awful lot of work to do. Although what he has got in his favour is a fairly hefty points advantage. Well, Antonio Felix da Costa, a real treat to see him racing at Snetterton this weekend. He is one of the most hotly sought after properties in global motorsport at the moment, and it really is all credit to the F3 Cup. The standard competition is such that this is where he wants to come and warm up for the Macau Grand Prix. As accelerating onto the Bentley Straight, we've got Tristan Cliff in pursuit of Chris Needham. In car with Cliff, as you can see, you can't see an awful lot except for Needham's rear rain light as he looks the outside of Chris Needham on the brakes into Brundle, but Needham holds the inside line, and Chris Needham's been racing these cars for many, many years. He's in the ex-Heikki Kovalainen Dallara, incidentally, car that he bought from the Fortec team, which ran Kovalainen in Formula 3 on his route towards Formula 1, although Tristan Cliff underneath the rear wing here of Chris Needham, trying to pick his way past him, struggling at the moment, looks to the outside of Coram Curve and then tries to force his way to the inside of Murray's, and he very nearly is able to get his nose to the inside of Chris Needham. He couldn't quite do it. The pair of them then accelerate along the centre straight, reel off the lap, and James Abbott, though, making good his escape, essentially in the lead of the race for the regular F3 Cup competitors. There's Gino Ussi a little bit lower down the field. He's got Chris Dittman on his tail, as we saw Mark Harrison looking to challenge Stuart Wiltshire as they went into Riches. Has he been able to get through? No, he couldn't quite do it there. And there is Dittman. You can see that red car at the back of the train, as still Tristan Cliff frustrating his efforts to try and move up ahead of Chris Needham. At the moment he can't quite get onto terms with Needham either. The pair of them arriving into Palmer. James Abbott, though, not disappearing off into the sunset just yet. So if Tristan Cliff is able to move ahead of Chris Needham here, there's every possibility that he can improve up the order. We take another look at the first corner, and unfortunately it's not happy viewing for Louis Hamilton-Smith. He tries to follow in behind Kevin Korjus. The car just swings around on him, and unfortunately a slippery surface, even slicker grass, and the Armco barrier is where he ends up out of the race. Still trying to find a way through is Tristan Cliff in this fight for fourth in the race overall. Second effectively, though, for the regular runners. And Cliff, if he stands any chance preventing Chris Dittman getting the title and that all-important FIA Formula 2 Championship test drive, that's the prize winner of F3 Cup, he needs to move ahead of Chris Needham as quickly as he possibly can. But at the moment, Needham ducking and weaving all over the track, preventing Tristan Cliff from being able to find a way around him. A pair of them squirt out of the hairpin at Montreal, rather, into Palmer, the left-hander, and then on towards the left-hand hairpin at Agostini, and that is a real overtaking opportunity that Tristan Cliff's going to try and take advantage of. He ducks out of the slipstream of Chris Needham to the inside line, and he should be able to squeeze through here. Now, can he keep it tight on the exit? Yes, he can. Place gained for Tristan Cliff. Really nice move that over Chris Needham. Not an awful lot that Needham could do, unfortunately for him, to prevent Cliff moving through. Now, can Tristan Cliff close up onto the tail of James Abbott? That is his next task, as we duck a little bit further down the order to look at Frank Thomas having a scrap with Neil Harrison. There's Neil Harrison in the number 3 car, the red car, admittedly without a number 3 on that side of his rear wing. And there is Mark Harrison. Harrison, who has been podium challenger on occasion this year, so we now have the fight really being joined between James Abbott and Tristan Cliff. And Tristan is always spectacular to watch in this kind of mood and in these conditions. He's a driver who's just very adept at getting his head down and charging, whereas James Abbott, well, he's racing in the Radical UK Cup as well this weekend, so he's getting plenty of track experience as Tristan Cliff loses it. And the car goes around there. Has he kept the engine running? Yes, he has. He spins up the rear tyres, does the spin turn, resumes the race, but he's now got an awful lot of chasing to do to get back onto terms with Chris Needham. It's further back. Battles continue. There's Tony Bishop, slightly different livery for Tony this weekend. We're used to seeing him in a red car, but this time around it is a blue and silver machine. He has got Neil Harrison and Stuart Wiltshire on his tail. It's a race of such fluctuating fortunes. The drivers really scrabbling for the grip. These Formula 3 cars got so much power. Here is Chris Dittman, who has recovered masterfully from his fairly wretched start. It means he's comfortably in command of the trophy class. He's well up in the race overall, and if things stay as they are, that is going to be enough to give him the MSV F3 Cup crown for 2012. Stuart Welch, well, we keep seeing him. He's now on the tail of Dave Karaskus. Karaskus this time around in his Lara F301. You often see him in maybe slightly older cars, but he is running very strongly in the trophy class as well. He got one sole entry this weekend in the Masters class, by the way, which is the older cars. That's Juan Cerda, who raced in British Formula 3 back in the late 1980s in Class B. As Tristan Cliff, his recovery has continued very impressively. He's once more back onto the tail of James Abbott. Now, when's he going to be able to try and squeeze through? They run nose to tail through Oggies, and Tristan Cliff, you can just see he's got momentum in his favour. Abbott running in the Lannon Racing car that's been very successful this year, particularly at Spa, in the hands of Alex Lynn, as taking the checkered flag is Antonio Felix da Costa, who romps home to a dominant victory and the delight of the Carlin team. Second place is going to go to Kevin Korjus, but who will claim third in the race overall and victory in the Cup class? Well, at the moment it's James Abbott, but will he be able to hold on through the bob hole and Coram curve? He's got Tristan Cliff homing on his tail, and Cliff will be looking for a good move into Coram. He pressurises James Abbott, who just is a little bit slithery through Coram, and diving to the inside of Tristan Cliff, and he's going to go through, and he takes third position away from James Abbott. The pair of them power past Juan Cerda on towards the checker flag, and a remarkable last lap from Tristan Cliff gives him Cup class victory. Masters class victory going the way of Juan Cerda, but what about Chris Dittman? Is he going to come home and claim that trophy class victory, but more importantly, the F3 Cup overall? Over the line we get Nita Manussi, and yes, there is Chris Dittman. I'm number one, he says. He wins the F3 Cup for 2012 and the FIA Formula 2 Championship test drive. Delight for Chris Dittman as he climbs onto a very busy top step of the rostrum, where he's joined by Tristan Cliff, who claims the Cup class honours, but the race overall being won in emphatic fashion by Antonio Felix da Costa. A very wet and slippery Snetterton circuit.
Chris, congratulations, championship winner. How are you feeling?
Oh, absolutely brilliant. Yeah, it's a very tough race, the long race. Didn't have a best to start, stalled on the line, which I knew was never good. But you know, pushed hard towards the end to get the class win and the championship overall. So I knew I could win it in this race. I didn't want to come back this afternoon and try it again. So I thought I need to do it this race. So yeah, absolutely brilliant.
The start was, I don't think anybody made a good start, maybe in the invitation class. Chris made, fortunately, a worse one than me, and I made a better one than most, and made up 3, 4, 5 places by the time we got to the second corner, and just kept my foot down. You know, I had to win to stay in the championship, and hope that Chris didn't do well. So he fell at the first hurdle off the grid, but he recovered. So it's been great. Yeah, I loved it.
Just got a good start. Just tried to be as careful as I could. Obviously, changing conditions, you can't be too sure. But yeah, just got pitched to the post by Tristan at the last corner. So slightly gutted, but happy with the second.
It was very, very close. It was about 0.6, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, roughly that. I wasn't measuring. I was hoping it was less, but there you go.
Join us after the break for more action from the F3 Cup here on Full Speed Racing.